Malastare yelled wordlessly, using the mental link they had evoked.
Something is approaching from the southeast. It's moving fast.
Ham peered up from beneath his cowl and nodded in acknowledgement. He quickly maneuvered Thorn behind an enormous fallen timber, and it was just in time. No sooner was he hidden than a beast came into view. It had huge horns and a coat that may have been dark brown once, but now was as black as a raven's wing and encrusted under a thick layer of grime and filth. As the creature emerged from the woods, moving heavily on cloven-hooved feet, he looked around with a menacing glare, sampling the air greedily through its snout. The stench of man was a smell not common in those woods.
Ham,
Mal started, ready to warn him, but the creature simply snorted, shaking its great horned head. It moved lazily ahead, following Ham's path. And now, finally, Mal started noticing other things about it. First, it was not as huge as the commotion it made had suggested it might be. Further, although beast-like, it was a humanoid, bull and man woven together in a bizarre amalgam. A minotaur. Certainly bigger than a man, but not outlandishly large given the scale of the forest and its towering trees. He carried a huge jug and an axe, both worn by time and use.
It must be a barbarian on his way to hunt,
Malastare thought to Ham.
Let's leave him.
But Ham had already dismounted, filling the whole forest with a clatter, loud clanking reverberating from his heavy, burnt black armor.
Hey there,
he said, waving his hand to the Minotaur.
Would you mind telling me the way to Sakoi?
Ham, Mal shouted in his mind.
What are you doing?
I don't know, he replied mentally.
I just kind of feel like it.
You feel like it? She started angrily, settling for rolling her eyes rather than giving him a piece of her mind.
Huh.
Nah, the Minotaur grumbled in a rough, slurred voice, pushing past Ham and hardly giving him a second look.
Never heard name. But you seem to know your way around,
Hammond shouted.
Also, I feel like we've met before, somewhere. You remind me of someone I once knew.
This made the Minotaur stop and look Hammond over.
Your eyes, same as my brother,
the Minotaur grumbled after several moments. Then he took a hearty swig from the jug he carried. Then, suddenly, he started crying, wailing loudly.
Little brother, I miss you,
he cried, looking above to the forest canopy. And then, still crying, he started moving again, seemingly forgetting Hammond altogether. By then, Malastare had descended enough to see Ham's jaw practically touch the ground. Hammond suddenly rushed the horned stranger, jumping on his back in a tackle, only to hang from it like a child trying to wrestle with an adult. "You dolt!" Ham shouted in joy. And the Minotaur, slightly inconvenienced, growled at him.
So you want fight?"
"No," Ham shouted, still sounding too giddy. "Can't you see? It's me, Ham. Hammond Stormborn."
"Hammy?"
the Minotaur said, confused. Then suddenly he shook his great head and said, "Hammy!" The half-beast, half-man grabbed the paladin, wrapping him up in a great bear hug. Or, well, a bull hug. After that, let it suffice to say that they both forgot any pretense that men weren't supposed to cry on reunions, and each shed their share of happy tears. By the time they were finally done, Mal had joined them on the ground.
"Who is he, Ham?"
she asked aloud.
"Won't you introduce me?" "Hey, Mal,"
Ham said, wiping his tears.
"Meet Bjorn. Bjorn Ironside. My big brother."
"Big brother, you say?" Mal said, sounding skeptical and looking Bjorn up and down. Ham started laughing.
"We're not blood relatives, of course."
"We grown together," Bjorn clarified, and then went for Ham's ear. "She your girlfriend?"
"Sorta,"
Ham answered.
"Bjorn, this is Mal. Malastare Alanegra."
"Okay," he said, and then looked over to Mal.
"Nice to meet, Mal." Nice to meet you as well,
Mal said, nodding at him.
I will leave you two to your reunion then. I will be keeping watch.
And then she left the two brothers to their discussion.
Where have you been?
Ham asked Bjorn finally.
I kept waiting for you at the chimney comb for years.
Chimney comb? Bjorn asked, confused. Why there? Then Ham looked at him, and his expression sobered.
Right, you don't know,
he said.
Makes sense you didn't come when the Hydra attacked.
Hydra attack? Bjorn asked, incredulous. At Sakue?
Yes,
Ham replied.
I think it happened around your graduation year. You might have left for your rite of passage by then.
Ham? Bjorn said, sounding annoyed. Tell me what happened.
Someone sent a Hydra to Sakue to kill my father.
Ha! Bjorn snorted. Uncle Kaiser kicked his ass, didn't he?
He was retired, Bjorn,
he said.
Caught unprepared with a whole town to save. He saved the people, but he died there.
Color drained from Bjorn's face. What about Auntie? And my parents?
Mother and I were the last to escape from the town,
Ham said.
But Uncle and Auntie lived far enough away from the main town. I doubt they even knew what was happening until it was done. They should be fine, but I haven't seen them in the 18 years since.
Where is Hydra now? Bjorn asked angrily. Are you going to kill him?
I already have killed it,
Ham said.
Though I still have to collect my due from the creature who sent it.
Where him then?
He is one of the leaders of the army currently in control of the university.
Then why are you here?
The realm currently needs me elsewhere. There is someone else to take care of first.
Then I come with you, Bjorn declared.
What do you mean you're coming?
Ham said, sounding taken aback.
I haven't even told you who I'm going after and why.
Don't matter, Bjorn said. Sounds dangerous. Not letting my little brother go alone.
But don't you need to find your parents?
I do. We do it both. And you're gonna help me with that. And then he started moving forward towards Sakue. And a flabbergasted, yet content, Ham followed him.